I just want to get on here and share that the ascension process is not for the faint-hearted. It is intense. It is relentless. It is just an extremely magnificent, overwhelming process. And I really think that what makes it so consuming is that when you have a level of alignment and an awareness around a level of alignment, anything that's not aligning, anything that's not coming into that central whole space is up for work, is up for review, is up for shifting, clearing, processing, challenging, totally reshaping. So it's a full process that is ongoing and relentless and can be really overwhelming. And I think for me, what I'm finding is that the level of processing that can be developed can be refined. In the beginning stages, it was literally so consuming that I would be in bed. I would be knocked off my feet, energetically flattened in bed, processing on deep, deep levels and on deep dimensional levels. And there was not a break in that. That was fairly continuous. It was like life was showing me in the three-dimensional experience all the facets that I needed to really delve into to create a level of wholeness that is part of my journey. And a lot of mine were around relationship, because the unique wound that I'm here to fully heal is around that sense of feeling separate and feeling the aching duality internally and searching externally for something to fill that. And instead of doing that, being shown that my wholeness is completely within, that I am completely self-sufficient and self-generating and self-loving and self-full. And then from there, partnership becomes a whole different expression of shared wholeness, not filling a gap. But it's taking time and, almost 2 years of relentless processing to completely reshape my energetic being, completely reshape my life. Moving, initially having a hugely profound spiritual experience where I dissolved into frequency. I left this dimension for an extended period of time. Came back into the body and was almost like a ghost. Had none of my previous preferences, had very little memory, had very, very low connection to previous profound, deep relationships. So my husband at the time, his vibrational frequency was completely not aligned to mine at that point, and it was heart-wrenching and devastating and shocking for him, the speed at which that relationship folded, and through no fault of his own. Absolutely no fault of his own, just my process and my vibrational shift just caused us to spin away from each other. And within that time, a very, very overwhelming Kundalini awakening dominated my body. So I was physically vibrating. I was not just vibrating on internal levels, I was physically vibrating and physically being pushed away from certain situations. So my understanding of Kundalini through my experience is that when you're in a situation that's not vibrationally matched, then the body, the curling, that energy will begin to fire and move through your body and physically move you out. It's like, oh, it's kind of that overwhelming sensation. And I know that there's a lot of sort of talk in the spiritual community about awakening that energy for sexual purposes, but for mine it was purely for awakening my being and aligning my being in a physical way. I couldn't avoid that. I'd talk to people and the conversation would go a certain direction, and my body would just respond without me even meaning for it to happen. And most oftentimes I would end up on the ground and vibrating, and frequently would have people trying to call an ambulance to help me and support me, and me having to explain whilst my body is convulsing that it's just part of this experience. I'm okay. It's okay. It will pass. So that was physically very demanding on the body, and emotionally it was very demanding and very, it was inexplicable, and it was lonely because it was extreme. It was not sort of a mild awakening progression. It was radical, and it was quick. And for a lot of time there, I didn't want to be on this planet because I'd gone so far off planet, and I was really way more comfortable for a long time in frequency. And that led me to meditate pretty much constantly for the first 6 months. So I would meditate for hours and hours on end, and found it really hard to function. So at that point it was more divine than human for me, and yet the pain of being in the human body was real. I sensed and felt and experienced the depth of my duality in that time. There wasn't a gap of space to recoup. It was relentless. And then I got shown a very powerful, what the spiritual community refers to as twin flame relationship. But what I believe now, it was just another portal home to self. So it was this relationship that held so much drive, so much control, so much longing, and it drove me deeper and deeper and deeper, the more that wasn't actualized here, into self-actualization and healing the inner child, healing through dimensional spaces, healing through past life spaces, healing through future timelines, healing through soul expression, astral body, etheric body, healing through all the aspects of being within that catalyst was just so powerful and so challenging, like so deeply, deeply challenging on such deep levels. And I was very alone in it. I didn't have anyone guiding me, and the people I reached out to were able to offer me a level of support, but this was the dark night of the soul. And when I say that, it's the space in that ascension process where you truly realize that no one holds the answers. Nobody outside of you holds the answers. It's all within you. And searching for that person to come and save you out of this experience is not going to happen. Plenty of people can light aspects for you, but it's not going to be wholly and solely holding you. So I went through a period there where every night I would experience death. So I would be in bed and I would die. I would have the experience of dying. And then I would be awake in the death. And it was just incredibly confronting and yet also incredibly liberating. Because when you've died so many times in so many vibrational spaces, it's really the ego's death, and the hold on life becomes less necessary because you see this is transient and eternal and there's nothing to fear. So it gives an essence of, why am I here? I'm here to really work. I'm here to embody the greatest level of light and wholeness I can, because beyond anything I do, I am and you are the absolute microcosm of the macrocosm of the all. So whatever you're doing within your body and within your spiritual journey, within your evolution, within your ascension, you are impacting on the all. There's no separation, there's no difference. So my purpose is I can impact on myself and I can call in the greatest expression of myself in the greatest level of healing and light I can in service to humanity. And that's all we can all do. That's really the core of this process. And as we do that more and more, the separation becomes less and less because we see it and we feel it. Now, a lot of people that are going on this journey experience a great deal of duality. They can really see and feel aspects that they refer to as, evil or dark. So my expression is shades of light. I don't have access to the darker aspects, and that's just how I express. It's not that it's not there. It's just my soul expression isn't called to delve into that space. And I honor the light workers and, ascenders that are in that space. And I, deeply appreciate the work they're doing on that level. And then from that point, I have experienced divine union, and on an energetic and spiritual level, and have, through that space, allowed myself to come into more wholeness and more oneness and more connectivity to self, and can see that the external expression of that relationship is not the end game. It's the joy, it's the love, but the mission is wholeness. And the mission is showing up in wholeness. And the blessing of being held to do that is the gift, but it's not the end point and it's not the ultimate of this expression. So holding any of that lightly is really important and part of the journey. So I suppose now it's really being about really getting to greater depths of core wound work, connecting into more teachers in the galactic field, and opening into more spaces that I can support others that are going through their own journey, and just being here to offer what I can in light for those that are there and those that need the support, and knowing that my journey is not anywhere near complete. There is so much more to embody and to bring in as code in my body and code in my expression and in the process of unfolding, you know. It's not, there's no end in sight, and that's part of the joy of this. So I feel honored that you've taken the time to share in this, and you know, in the quantum field, wherever that is in time and space, I'm there, grateful, and sending you love and light and letting you know that you're not alone.